This episode of the Totally Rad Show is brought to you by Netflix. Coming up, Oliver Stone brings us into the world of the Mexican drug cartel in the movie Savages.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Totally Rad Show. We've got a great week for you. Be prepared. Though Comic-Con is happening this week.
And we're there.
We are there. So we're going to be bringing our Comic-Con coverage the week after we get back. All Comic-Con, all the time. It's going to be amazing. This week, we've got great stuff for you. We're taking a look at Oliver Stone's new movie, Savages, today.
Yes, and then tomorrow is, just jumped out of my head. What is tomorrow?
Watchmen.
Oh my gosh! Because we're at Comic-Con, we gotta talk some comics. Is it the greatest thing ever, or is it complete blasphemy? It's before Watchmen, and we're talking about it.
Very nice.
Then on Wednesday, we are finally going to sit down and chat about the entire season 1, including finale, of The Legend of Korra. Is it Avatar, The Legend
It's
of Korra?
because you demanded it.
I think it's Avatar, The Legend of Korra.
Avatar,
but I'm not
The
sure.
Legend
There was a lot of
Korra.
demanding of us talking about
Yes,
it.
and rightfully so, as this, we need to talk about it. Also, there's never enough zombies. We're going to be taking a look at DayZ, a mod
That sounds like
for
a beautiful flower.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? A mod for the
Arma 2.
military shooter Arma 2.
And then Friday, we got a brand new game for you.
We shall see.
We shall see how this is going to go. It's the trial run. Well, you can tell us if you like it or not, but we know you're going to like the title. It's Radagories.
Yes, Radagories. In lieu of, not in lieu, but because of Legend of Korra, we got its great background from our buddy Danny Head.
Danny Head never ceases to amaze.
Never ceases to amaze.
Even when he sent this in a while back.
Yeah, if you'd like to have your background shown on the show, feel free to send it fans at totallyradshow.com. Let's get into it.
This week in movies, we are talking about Savages. Now, this is the first Oliver Stone movie we'll be talking about on the show. Oliver Stone.
That's because we didn't review Wall Street 2.
We did not review Wall Street, but Money Never
Interesting.
Sleeps on the on TRS. But Savages. Oh, so Oliver Stone, from intoxicated soldiers in Vietnam to the greed of Wall Street in Wall Street.
Intoxicating greed.
To intoxicated greed. To the inner working politics of football. To
Oh, right. I forgot
natural-born killers. Has constantly made message-driven commentaries on society that are Hitchcockian suspense thrillers. So medicine in ice cream, and has a very aggressive filmmaking style that because I haven't seen an Oliver Stone movie in a while, and I was like, oh yeah, man, he makes movies in such an awesome way.
Yeah.
And he doesn't make them that often anymore. So Savages is about two best friends, Taylor Kitsch and Aaron Johnson, in his first movie that we've seen since Kick-Ass, are running.
Oh my
the,
God, that's the guy from Kick-Ass. It's
yeah,
funny.
the lead from Kick-Ass, are running a awesome marijuana business. They're like the cream of the crop,
In
and
Laguna.
are both dating Blake Lively, and the business starts to get involved with the Mexican drug cartels, and these guys get in over their heads
Hilarity
and have to deal with
ensues.
it. It's kind of like if you were to take a movie like Traffic and meld it, like Oliver Stone does, with a more action movie like True Romance. Jeff, what did you think of Savages? How do you feel about Oliver Stone, maybe? And then because we haven't talked about
we
him.
haven't really talked about Oliver Stone,
Yeah.
have we? I feel, you can't deny that the first 10 to 15 years of his career is incredible. I mean, it's just amazing movie after amazing movie after amazing movie. I think I mentioned it on my radar or something. I think I talked about Wall Street 2, but I was really excited for that movie and disappointed me.
I like Wall Street too, actually.
Yeah, I mean, there was stuff. There's always interesting stuff. This movie is similarly uneven. I like it a lot more than than I did Wall Street 2. I actually like this movie quite a lot, but you can't deny that it's uneven and it has flaws. But there's a lot to like in it, and I liked it more as it went on. It starts really slow, and the whole movie is sort of methodic, and for an action movie, it feels awfully slow at times. And it certainly starts that way, and I at the outset didn't really care to be with the people that it seemed like we were going to be with. But as the plot really latches on, and this movie is plot heavy, I got really sucked into it and really enjoyed the twists and turns and the thrills and the characters. And there's some incredible performances. I was reminded how freaking awesome John Travolta is.
Yeah.
He's so much
Benicio
fun to
Del
watch.
Toro.
And Benicio Del Toro, of course, is amazing. And he delivers a great performance here. And what's his name? Aaron
Johnson?
Spectacular in this movie. And I love Taylor Kitsch. This movie feels to me like those raft of movies that we got in the early to mid 90s after Tarantino and Rodriguez hit, that were all like those...
Like Boondock Saints was,
Like
actually.
Boondock Saints, or like 6 Days in the Valley, and Killing
2
Zoe.
Days in the Valley.
Or Eight Heads in a Duffel Bag or whatever.
Those movies that are about the criminal
I'm just saying
underworld
things.
they're ultra, like everybody wanted to be Tarantino for like 5 years, and they were all ultra violent. They were heavy on plot. They had these bad guys who were had quirks that were ridiculously improbable. You know that you had. They were such quirky, interesting, specifics to them. And this movie is full of that. It's like none of this feels like it could actually happen, but it's all really interesting in a movie way. Unironically,
Tarantino wrote Natural Born Killers and True Romance.
And I was going to reference the fact that this does feel like Oliver Stone in his his Natural Born Killers phase, for sure. It's much closer to that movie than some of his other movies. And I had enough of a good time. Like I dug the machinations of the relationships and who's backstabbing who and where it goes and all that stuff was really fun. And there are some sequences. There's this like military takedown of a caravan that is awesome, and how it's filmed, and I felt it, and those characters, I was in it. But you can't deny that there are problems. Like the narration is incessant and annoying to me. There's
based on a book.
Right. Which I get, and I understand that that's how you convey a lot of information very quickly, but it just did not work for me. And there are stretches that feel meandering, and the movie feels a little long. And I hope we can talk a little bit about the end, because the end is so bizarre. I kind of dug it, but yeah.
You dug it. Before we talk about the end, what did you think of the first 2/3? Or what do you think of Savages? What do you think of Oliver Stone? And
Yeah. I mean, I'm sort of a fair weather Oliver Stone fan. So for me, I think he's so. One of the things that he does very well is to be very specific to the movie he's making at the time. And so I don't really know if I can say that I'm a big fan of Oliver Stone, but I do love some Oliver Stone movies. I've definitely not seen all of them. But I'm a huge fan of the original Wall Street. Didn't see Wall Street 2. Huge fan of JFK. So there's enough there that I'm like, oh yeah, I like Oliver Stone. But I just don't even know if somebody said, "What's an Oliver Stone movie to you?" I'd be like, I really have no idea, except I like a couple of these movies. You know what I mean? I haven't seen a movie of his that I'm like, wow, I really don't like this movie. But then I haven't seen all of them. Like Any Given Sunday was fun, but it was like, and this movie was good. I mean, it was okay. It wasn't phenomenal. There was a lot of times where I was sort of laughing when it was clear that it wasn't a joke. But then there were other moments where, like the scene between Benicio Del Toro and John Travolta.
Awesome.
I mean, I could watch that scene over and over and over again. Amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's a little bit of a mixed bag for me. Where, at the beginning, you're right, it is sort of slow and really setting up these people. And it was hard for me because I was like, okay, so bad things are happening to criminals, and I don't know who I'm supposed to root for. Am I rooting for the criminals that are sort of the good criminals, or the criminals that are the bad criminals? Everybody is doing...
Inherent to the description of the movie should have said up front, but the two guys that are running this business, one guy is like peace, Buddha, uses all his money to help charities in Indonesia and whatever.
Yeah.
And the other guy is Afghani and an Iraq veteran military.
Who's kind of snapped and like, and
Right.
I think what happened is they only
And
sort
she
of
is in the middle.
They sort of brushed over the fact that I think that what they tried to do at the beginning was to sort of, and really pumping up this guy's like working, making wells in Africa, even though he's a criminal, was to sort of be like, look, these are the good guys. Don't think of them as criminals. And they glossed over the fact that they had Taylor Kitsch was like, oh yeah, but if somebody needs to be murdered, it's he murders them. And it was like, okay, you literally you gave like 15 scenes to how great I am and pumping gas, and I take my millions that I get illegally and
they
put it somewhere else.
Why do you think that? I mean,
I think they had to do that so that people would possibly care for these two people who are criminals.
What I was gonna say is, I mean, you watch a movie like Leon, the Professional, you know, and you love Jean Reno in that movie, and he is killing people. He's a hitman.
Yeah.
He doesn't give his money to charities in Indonesia or whatever.
But-
like, why
but
do you
I'd say that the
like
reason
his
for-
journey and
well,
not these
and
guys?
the reason for that is because it feels like you fall in love with him. It's not that his
personality?
And that he doesn't want anything that he's doing. He's like, dude, I'm a killer. I don't want none of what you're doing. That's not me. And so you see him turning from
he's got a
a
moral
criminal to a person who is somebody that you can sort of like. Whereas these guys are just, they're doing what they're doing, and I think the filmmaker and the writer are kind of trying to be like, look, just like these guys, because then all bad stuff happens. They don't change in any way to become better people. If anything, they just become more and more criminalistic, like the movie.
Yeah, they
I think a lot of our way into them rests on this three-way relationship that we're supposed to, I think, see as this beautiful thing, and I never felt like it was. It's clearly dysfunctional and odd, and you know, the Salma Hayek character comments on that later, which resonates, but it was a little off-putting at first to be like, oh, these are what they want to protect is this beautiful three-person relationship that I never really thought was a beautiful thing to begin with. That was a hard way.
But so there was a lot of stuff in the beginning of the movie that I was sort of like, I really feel like they're trying to make me love these characters that I sort of have no interest in. But then the sort of action movie thing happens, and there's a lot of really crazy stuff. Yeah. And once Benicio Del Toro's character comes into it, it's like, oh, okay, I'm having fun. This is a fun movie that I am now enjoying the sort of like outlandishness of it. But you know, so for the first bit, I was sort of like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like this movie very much. But then by the end, I was like, this is a pretty good movie. I mean, I don't know if I'd be like, go run out and see it, but I definitely would be like, oh yeah, that was enjoyable. It was an enjoyable experience.
The end, if you guys have seen it this weekend, stay tuned. Spoilers if you haven't.
Yeah.
So the end of the movie, there's
it's two endings.
Sort of a fake ending.
Yeah.
And
well,
you
the fake
guys
ending was
dug it or didn't dig?
I feel like it was a little bit of a cop-out, one, but two, I'm happy because as the first ending was unfolding, stuff was happening that literally made me go, I don't like this movie. Things were happening where I was like, this movie has lost me. It didn't have me at the beginning, found me in the middle, towards the end it started to keep me, and it has completely lost me. Like her coming out from behind the car, no, she wouldn't. There was no reason for her to. Nobody was in trouble. Like it was just, she just chose to do that to put herself, you know what I mean? Like it was so false, you know what I mean? And then how they three ended up at the end was like, that would never happen. Like, as beautiful as it may be, he didn't love the guy that much. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't the guy that he was really involved with. It was he'd be like, well, that sucks. I guess it's just you and me. You know what I mean?
I just wish...
But then it was said to be false, and so that made me kind of go, I guess I don't have to worry about it.
I just wish the ending that was the real ending, and I think there's up to interpretation as to which was the real and which was the fantasy ending.
Well, she did say, this is the real one.
Right, but...
She said that one didn't
I just
happen.
think that the second one... I think the point of the second one is that it's not particularly interesting, that life is sort of mundane, and it just sort of flops there on the ground, and nothing... Yeah, which I like conceptually, but... I found I was a little sad that it didn't lead up to anything. I wish it had been more interesting. I found the first ending, if it had just ended that way, I would have thought that was kind of cool and very much in keeping with the style of the film up to that point, which is sort of that like early 90s quirky.
It would have made sense. Well, but also, I mean, Shakespearean.
Ultra. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that, her name's
Yeah.
Ophelia. I'm sure that as it was happening, I was like, well, there's your Shakespearean ending.
Right.
Okay, I get it.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But then, and the other thing was, I wanted to see what was so random about the second ending.
That just the cops show up.
That's not random.
Actually,
no,
no,
it's
not-
totally planned.
not
what was the
random, but,
Because she
like,
was like,
they
was
had
really
this
just a screw
whole-
up, and I was like, screw up? What was the screw up? The cop, like that was.
Well, it just sort of fizzled. Like it sets up to this big
Yeah, I guess
confrontation,
that's-
and it just
I
sort of
guess
goes.
that's
Yeah, they were
And
going to have
they go to
head-to-head
jail
and then-
for
Yeah,
6
yeah.
months, and then who cares?
Yeah, that actually does make more sense. That it's like, well, and it is, but then it does really feel like a cop out, where it's like, well, the ending, we couldn't figure out how to make the ending interesting and still logically connect to the movie, so we're just gonna do one that's really weird and kind of in tone, but would never be the real ending, and then we'll just show you the
wonder if it does
lame
that in the
ending that
book.
just gets us out.
I'm very curious if the book has the two endings or not.
I have no idea.
It's
I
her
think
I would think her narration is all.
Well, from what I
shit
understand, the
book.
book is not her narration. That they did that for the
Oh.
movie, but it's a whole bunch of different people's narration in the book. That's what I understand.
Crazy.
interesting.
Well, there
Fun-
you have it.
fun movie.
Savages.
Savage.
Go see it.
Savage.
Find out what it means to be savage.
All right, everybody, be sure to stick around. We're going to be answering one of your Twitter questions right after this. But first, we want to thank our sponsors. Dan?
Netflix, guys.
Yes.
Netflix streams TV shows and movies.
Ooh, I can't wait to hear what the DRW is this week.
Straight up into your PC, your Mac, your Xbox 360, your PS3, your Nintendo Wii, among almost every other device. I highly recommend watching a movie I haven't seen yet. It's on my Netflix queue.
Is it a DRW?
My instant queue. I'm waiting to watch. I'm so excited to see Goon. Goon
yeah.
is this movie starring
hockey
Sean William
movie.
Scott.
I saw the
movie.
smaller version of that.
Lagoon?
Goonies.
Oh, Goonies.
Little
And it's supposed to be awesome, and I was
Starring
watching the
Little
trailer
Romeo.
today, and I'm so excited to
Yeah.
finally watch it on Netflix, because I have Netflix, so it's like free. But if you don't have Netflix, you can watch it for free in your 30-day free trial. Go to www.netflix.com/TRS, or if you're in the UK or Ireland, go to netflix.co.uk/TRS or netflix.ie/TRS.
Very good, Goon. Go check it out. Oh, horrible. Just punch my face.
Join us tomorrow when we check out the Before Watchmen comics.
Today's Twitter question, sent in with the hashtag #TRSQ, comes in from @Candy_Rendon. What is your favorite horror/supernatural tale experience? And was it from a comic, game, movie, fiction, or real life? Interesting. I have to say, I just had a recent one. Nothing actually happened except for the fact that it was just a really fun tour, but we took the ghost tour on the Queen Mary.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
And it was really
Long Beach?
great in Long Beach, yeah. You get to go, but you also learn all this information about the Queen Mary, and
you eat the
man, is it
amazing
fun. We didn't have any food, but we ended up, like, we started in the bar and then ended in the bar, but it was so great just to get the rich history of how it happened, how they brought the Queen Mary to it. Long Beach was like, it was up for auction, and Long Beach was like, well, let's do it. And it was like the city councilman who was trying to get reelected, and they basically said yes, and they all went, oh crap, we didn't think we would actually win it.
Yeah.
Now we gotta build this
And
harbor.
and it like the amount of revenue that it makes is like 20 times what they paid for it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yearly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really crazy. It was the fastest ship to cross the Atlantic for like 15 years solid, because there's like an award of the shipping industry. Well, anyway.
None of that's
That was none of
supernatural.
it's supernatural, but there was a lot of murders. There was a pool that was very creepy.
For some
we wanted to do
reason,
a dark steam room.
When I read this question, my mind went to not to movies and comics and all those things, but rather to the remember the book Scary Stories? And there were Scary Stories too, and Scary of all like Monkey's Paw and things like that.
Yeah.
And my favorite of those was on that show.
Goosebumps?
No, Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah.
You guys heard me talk about before, but where the girl is trapped in the mirror, and written on the wall behind her is PLEH, which when you look in the mirror is help. It was terrifying. When I was a kid, oh my God, it was so scary.
The first, I love The Orphanage, and Lock and Key is a great comic horror supernatural thing. But also the first thing I came to was when I was a kid reading Stephen King's short stories like The Skeleton Crew.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a couple other short story collections.
Night Shift.
Yeah, Night Shift.
Yeah. Cat's Eye,
with my
wasn't that one?
sister in a tent in our backyard. We used to set up a tent and
Awesome.
camp out in our backyard.
Awesome.
Scary as hell. Thank you @Candy_Ridden.